simple concept, but that
Yeah.
is so stressful for parents about
Yep.
new diagnosis, right?
Yep.
So whether that's, prenatal or an infancy or when they're 10 years old, that initial diagnosis is obviously really stressful. And so, parents have to start thinking about who can help them. And so where should parents start and who do they begin with?
I mean, it depends a little bit about what the diagnosis is, but I think in general, especially for the genetic conditions that often get diagnosed really early, now there's a lot of patient advocacy groups and resources online that can help parents get connected to a smaller community really quickly. So I always recommend that parents look online actually for family alliances. Unique, which is a registry of all different genetic conditions, has really good resources for, again, the really rare variants.
And what about starting to really build those medical and therapeutic care teams?
I mean, I definitely have patients who organically build their team just based on the needs of their child. So they find a great speech therapist, so they stick with that. And then they find a pediatrician who's used to taking care of kids with complex needs. And that's number two. And that pediatrician, if they've been taking care of a lot of kids with special needs, can help connect the family to other specialists and service providers. I do think having a primary care provider who is used to taking care of kids with complex issues and not just like the well child check is really important, because they can kind of be a good hub for you too.
Finding professionals that really are curious and eager to learn information, because that is the foundation of a good practitioner, is always eager to learn more. I know all the answers and I'm stuck in my ways and I'll always do it the same way I've always done it, right? Like being open to learning and learning new perspectives and, being curious. And so if you can find practitioners that have those qualities, naturally those people will refer you out to other people who are like-minded. And so I think that that's something that I found really helpful.
I always advise families to know what their benefits and coverage are so that you can make an informed decision about who you fall in love with to be a member of your child's team. So you understand which pieces you're picking in network and which pieces you're picking out of network, and what level of benefit you might still be able to access working out of network.
You need one primary person. That's the thing. I think that what's really hard, even for us as providers, is when patients come to us and they have 3 different opinions about medications, and they want us to either adjudicate it or just provide, our own opinion. Which I'm always happy to provide my opinion, but I'm not going to manage medication that someone else has recommended or has prescribed, right? And it actually can be dangerous if a family member or a caregiver is getting different prescriptions from different providers and kind of managing it themselves. So whoever it is, there's no right answer to this, but if there's, if a family has a child psychiatrist, a child neurologist, a pediatrician, and say a GI specialist, you pick the GI specialist is going to take care of their system, right? But for anything that's like, especially the psychopharmacology and behavioral meds, those kinds of things, you need one person who's going to be prescribing all of them and is going to be monitoring them.
I always see the developmental pediatrician as the quarterback, and they're the one kind of creating the plan, and they are essentially introducing us to the family, and we all work on our own specific skills. They run a host of tests, medical ones as well, and that's super important to have like those medical biological needs met, and making sure that there's like no nutritional deficits, whether there's any other issues, genetic, chromosomal, whatever the case might be, and rule those in or out so we know what kind of profile we're working with. And then when we know kind of a general idea what that diagnosis might be, it really gives us as a therapist the framework that we know and what approaches to use when we're working with that specific child with whatever they might have going on.
But even when you have therapists doing great work, each one, and basically on the same page, working for the same goals or similar goals in their particular specialty, there's an amplification when that happens, when you are collaborating, and an energy that goes into working with that child and understanding that child. And I think not only is it good for the child, but it's good for the parents, because the parents so appreciate that that crosstalk, that communication.
What would you want to say to those parents who are realizing that it really is going to be up to them? They are going to be kind of the quarterback, right? Because I think a lot of people think, great, who's going to help me do this? And then the reality is that it is going to have to be you.
So anything you can do to create a database, an electronic record, using the binder, your child's binder for Undivided, or whatever system you have, is making sure that all those providers stay in the flow. Not only does it make for better care, it can make for safer care.
Sharing videos is the fastest, best way to show what you're doing. I can show in like a 30-second video clip that would take me 2 hours to write in an email. And so that's really helpful. And I also think the collaborative nature of it. So I also have clients who are on shared iPhoto albums, Dropbox, Google, all the different ways we can share information. There's also this really cool energy that happens when everybody's on, everyone's like cheering a child along, because we're all kind of seeing like, oh my gosh, look, they tied their shoes. Like, that's so exciting. Not what I work on, but I'm still excited to see my child that, I see weekly have like such a great win.
One of the things that I would encourage parents to do is to, push things a little bit more, push the limits at school a little bit more, to be able to understand more about what's actually going on for your child at school. What are they working on? What can you be doing to facilitate that at home?
From an infrastructural point, it would be so ideal for there to be quarterly meetings, or at least like two annual meetings of meeting with a therapist, or at least the one therapist set of therapists meeting with the parents to tell them what they're working on, and they can like relay the message, or everyone kind of gets on a call or something, like almost like a small IEP, but merging the two, because it boils down to the logistics of the systems that we work in and everyone's availability and things like that. And it really is like unfortunate that that's kind of what makes communication so hard for some people. And of course there's emails and things like that, but really my preference with communicating is always just like a phone call, because you can get so much more in there and just talk about it.
What would you want to say to that new parent who's just like in general, like terrified, like words of hope, words of support? Like what would you want to say to that parent?
I think we're the best we've ever been in terms of taking care of kids with complex medical issues and neurodevelopmental issues. And so I absolutely feel like it's a place of hope, no matter what the diagnosis is. You just have to find the right, champion for your child so that they can actually help navigate, the kind of the journey.